So just wrapped up a day of mentorship with a couple of clients that we flew into the HQ, where we essentially were working through their marketing strategies to identify what was wrong. And very quickly we noticed a few issues with their short form content that was really holding back the agency. Now I want to introduce a 10-step strategy for coming up with a proof of concept and finding out A, is the idea any good? B, does it work and convert well? C, how does it funnel? And also, can we make a lot of money from the idea? So I'm going to introduce a 10-step strategy that we call proof of concept that you need to think about when coming up with an idea. Step one, you probably guessed this if you watch the channel, it's branding. So it's coming up with some sort of niche. I guess these two things commonly go together. We talk about them all the time. They're kind of as one. You need to have a niche. You need to be branded with something that's unique. There needs to be something about the way that you present yourself as the creator that stands out from the crowd and isn't what we would call like a typical OnlyFans creator. Number two is the idea. Now, once we have the branding, obviously the ideas will often relate back to that branding. So in this case, the idea might be stretching content, which relates back to being a yoga girl. So it's got to be something that's specific and relatable to the branding itself, but the idea is the video that you're going to film or the specific row of content that you're going to have in a vector on a page. Step three is the content production. Now, obviously this stage introduces the compliance of the creator. So if you've got a creator that typically isn't very good at actioning the ideas that you come up with or isn't very compliant with what you recommend, well, this might be where the idea breaks down. And the whole idea of this 10-step strategy is to work out how far does the idea go. If the branding and the idea go the whole way, they're great. If they break down at any point, there's a problem. Now, if it breaks down here, there's a good chance that A, it wasn't prepared and you didn't come up with a strategy that was easy for the creator to film, or B, your creator obviously doesn't want to do the idea. So in short, this idea is actually filming the idea. 4 is views. Now, views are a way to verify whether or not your content is appreciated by A, the audience, and B, the platform, because they are mutually important for the growth of the idea. Now, if you get a lot of views, it's likely that this idea, this branding, this content is being appreciated, and therefore as a result is something that you should continue to double down on and do more of. If you're consistently getting low views, you need to kind of take a step back and you need to keep going back until it starts to work, at which point then you continue back down this cycle. You will likely go all the way back and all the way back, and you will end up eventually getting to 10, which is scaling, and we'll work our way down. So if it breaks down at views, go back. Now, number 5 is engagement, which relates back to the views. Random views are good and are important, but don't necessarily always convert to us making money. Now, the objective here is to get engagement on the videos that are getting the views. Views alone don't mean a great lot. Views with great engagement start to mean traction for clicks, subs, sales, and so on. So we want to make sure that the content is getting good engagement. So it's provoking people to comment, it's encouraging people to share, it's encouraging people to like and build a relationship with the creator and bond with the content that they're doing. So we're chasing content that is ultimately going to drive as much engagement as possible. Up next, we have clicks. Now, clicks are a way to work out whether or not what we've done up until this point, in other words, the short form content or whatever you're applying this to, is doing its job. Are we spiking the curiosity of the audience? If so, it then is the job of the funnel to actually convert that to paying subscribers, which is number 7. So at this point, we want to evaluate, A, are people interested enough to actually consider taking it to the next step? And then number 7, subs, evaluating that if they've considered taking it to the next step, how many of them actually do? Now, it's extremely common for things to break down here rather than anywhere else, because actually the funnel is what most people really struggle with. Now, there's a video on the screen that covers the funnel process completely, which is super valuable for improving this, and lots of little tips and tricks about how to improve your conversion rate, because ultimately the smallest of conversion rates have the biggest of impacts when you're growing an account at scale. So we want to make sure that this funnel is set up as well as possible to make sure that we get that best conversion rate. Number 8 is us trying to establish, have we actually got the idea being introduced into conversations on the page? So messages. Are the chat team receiving interest in the idea? If the account has already got some sort of active subscriber base, or there are some sort of customers already coming through from other organic traffic acquisition channels, then the likelihood of there being activity on the page is already quite high. So we're not just looking for messages here, we're looking for messages specifically about the idea that indicate they've come from this process. So they might reference the idea, going back to our example of yoga. The way that we'd evaluate if step 8 has been completed is, have I got somebody asking for yoga content? Is there somebody asking how flexible I am, if I can do the splits, what my favorite gym leggings are for yoga? These are the kind of things that customers are going to ask if they've come from an interest up here around the branding of a yoga girl and the idea of stretching content and gym leggings, etc., etc. Next, we want to work out whether or not this idea is just creating a little bit of curiosity, spiking a bit of interest, or is it building an environment for PPV sales. Because frankly, there are two parts to making a lot of money on an OnlyFans page. One is providing the traffic, the other is actually getting them to spend a lot of money. Now, some brandings typically favor each of those things. Some brandings, like a lot of public content, for example, will bring in a heap of subs because it's going to relate to people that are just really curious and want to see what the hell was going on. But these people will probably pay $10 to $30 to see 1 to 2 videos of what was going on, and that will pretty much be it. Versus the guys over here that maybe have come through other strategies that are actually interested in building relationships. These are the guys that will typically spend either $0 and just try and have sex, or spend hundreds and thousands unlocking content and building a relationship. So we want to work out, is it the second one where we're going to get the ability to find lots and lots of whales? So number 9 is PPV Sales. How many of our customers are unlocking PPVs? Now this is the final step of the funnel before we grow at scale, because we are working out whether or not the people that we bring to the page are likely to spend a lot of money and offer us a strong return on our time investment in doing all of the above. So number 10 is scale. Now this is the final step. If everything else that we've done here works, this is a good idea. And we can now all be on the same page and agree that the yoga branding with the stretching content being filmed in the way that it is getting a lot of views, a lot of engagement, a lot of clicks, a solid conversion to subs, which we're seeing in the messages when people are requesting content in relation back to the idea. It's actually engaging people enough to spend money on content around the idea. They're unlocking PPVs. And then, because of that, we know we can scale. So we're going to double down, we're going to run more accounts, we're going to do more of it, we're going to spend more time with this creator, we're going to motivate this creator to do more, and as a result, we're going to double down and make a heap more money off this idea. There is a Telegram group in the description, completely free to join, a bunch of super successful OFM guys providing value all day, every day, and our personal Telegrams are also on the screen. We'll see you in the next one.